In our headlines for today's news, Chelsea forward Christopher Nkunku is set to be out for 3 to 4 weeks after picking up yet another injury. Chelsea boss Pochettino is confident the owners will give him time to turn Chelsea around and denies he has to qualify for Europe to avoid getting sacked. Now the transfer guru Fabrizio Romano says Chelsea are not in talks to appoint Ruben Amorim as Mauricio Pochettino's replacement. More coming up, so keep watching. Leave a like and comment after watching. Now in our first news, Chelsea are not in talks to appoint Ruben Amorim as Mauricio Pochettino's replacement, according to acclaimed transfer guru Fabrizio Romano. The Argentine manager's future remains up in the air following an underwhelming season. Amorim, meanwhile, has done an admirable job with Sporting and has emerged as a candidate for the hot seat at Stamford Bridge. In his column for Caught Offside, Romano has said that the Blues will only assess Pochettino's situation at the end of the season. Pressure on Pochettino has been there since the end of January. Chelsea want better results, so pressure remains there. But the priority has always been to finish the season with Pochettino and then assess the situation ahead of the summer transfer window, wrote Romano. Romano added that Amorim could leave the Portuguese club this summer. As for Amorim links, it's a possibility for him to leave Sporting Lisbon in the summer. It's not guaranteed yet, but he'd be open to considering top clubs, as he's already done an excellent job at Sporting in the recent years. At the moment, he's not in direct contact with any club, but he's appreciated in England, for sure. Former Chelsea winger Florent Malouda reckons the club should stick with Pochettino. The Blues invested heavily in the squad last year but are yet to reap the benefits. There are already calls for Pochettino's head from many quarters, with the club languishing in 11th place in the Premier League after 25 games. Speaking to Ladbrokes Fanzone, Malouda pointed out that apart from Jose Mourinho, there are very little options for the job right now. I am not worried about Pochettino. I am worried about Chelsea. In terms of managers, when you look at the options available apart from Mourinho, there is nobody obvious for the job that could make a big difference, said Malouda. He added, I believe in stability, and I believe the club should support the manager and include him more in the process of picking players in the club's strategy. I definitely think we need to stick with Pochettino. Instead, we need to bring people on board now who can back him up and help him develop his ideas. Sam Allardyce has offered his services to Todd Boehly amid Mauricio Pochettino's uncertain future at Chelsea. With pressure mounting on the Argentine, and Sporting CP's Ruben Amorin being considered as a possible replacement, Allardyce has offered to take over the reins in West London. Allardyce appeared on TalkSport Breakfast and the question of him replacing Pochettino at Chelsea was raised. I'd fly back from Dubai tomorrow for that job, he said. Get me there. They need to sort the defense out. It's the worst defending I've seen in the Premier League for a long time. Now the Chelsea boss is confident the owners will give him time to turn Chelsea around and denies he has to qualify for Europe to avoid getting sacked. The Argentine was reflecting on the fallout out of a difficult week after his team were labelled £1 billion bottle jobs by Sky Sports pundit Gary Neville following the 1-0 Carabao Cup final defeat to Liverpool. He has also seen his future again questioned this week, having missed the first chance to win silverware and qualify for Europe on Sunday. Chelsea are 11th in the Premier League table and falling behind in the race to qualify for the Europa League or Conference League. Ahead of what looks like an increasingly must-win home match against Championship Leeds in the FA Cup 5th round, Pochettino was asked whether he is confident the owners will give him the time he needs. Why not? I am confident, Pochettino said, until they decide to tell me something else. But at the moment, I don't think they're going to tell me anything different. Pochettino also denied he has been told his future hinges on whether he qualifies for Europe. From who? From the sporting directors and the owners. No, I don't remember, I don't. He added, we wanted to win the Carabao Cup. We want to win the FA Cup. We want to win the Premier League. Now it's tough, it's the reality, but before the start of the season, it was always the objective to qualify for Europe and win trophies. Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp has said it is unfair to label Chelsea bottlers for their Carabao Cup final display and that he felt sorry for Mauricio Pochettino's team after the defeat by an inexperienced Liverpool. Chelsea were described as blue billion-pound bottle jobs at Wembley by Gary Neville for a woeful extra-time performance against an injury-ravaged Liverpool side featuring 4 young substitutes. Klopp continues to savour an immense victory for his club, but believes the accusations aimed at Chelsea were harsh and inaccurate, albeit part of the fallout from a cup final defeat. The Liverpool manager, who may have to rely on the same young squad for the FA Cup tie at home against Southampton on Wednesday, said, "I understand that people have to talk about it, but I was in the other seat as well, losing a final, and people say a lot of things about you that you don't like to hear. In my case some of them were true, some were not true, just guessing what might have happened. I'm the one who knows what it's like to lose 5 or 6 finals in a row. I can imagine how it was for Chelsea. They didn't deserve to get all the blame. They played a really good football game, in a final where nobody plays their absolute best football. You just have to beat the opponent, and that's what we did." Chelsea co-owner Bedad Eghbali has been heavily criticised for his approach at Strasbourg during the January transfer window. Luco, the owners of Chelsea, purchased Strasbourg in 2023 with the idea of creating a Manchester City-esque multi-club model across European football. However, fans of the League One club have openly opposed Luco's influence over the past few months, and their anger was displayed following a dismal January window that notably saw them sell number 1 goalkeeper Matt Sells to Nottingham Forest. Only 2 players joined Strasbourg in January, Andre Santos on loan from Chelsea and Milos Lukovic, who was immediately loaned back to FKIMT. As a result, Santos was the only real addition during the winter window. Furthermore, French outlet L'Equipe have now reported that Eghbali outright refused to sign a new winger in January, due to fears it may impact Angelo Gabriel's game time during the second half of the season. Angelo is on loan at Strasbourg from Chelsea, after joining the Blues for €16 million last summer, and despite showing glimpses of his talent, he is yet to score in 21 League One appearances so far this campaign. The young Brazilian does have 4 league assists, but he has not been able to find the back of the net in league or cup action since his loan move to Strasbourg. Despite Angelo's poor form in front of goal, Eghbali was reluctant to sign any forwards in January due to the fact that any arrival could impact the Brazilian's game time, something Chelsea are desperate to avoid. As per L'Equipe, Mohamed Ali Cho, Jean-Matteo Bauer and Ibrahim Osimhen were all potential options, but Eghbali decided against signing any of them. Strasbourg are now only 3 points clear of the relegation zone in League One, and their lack of mid-season investment could ensure that a drop into League Two occurs. Luco's involvement at Strasbourg has already angered fans, who believe their club's identity has been lost, and this latest news could come back to bite Eghbali if relegation does happen. Chelsea forward Christopher Nkunku is set to be out for 3 to 4 weeks after picking up yet another injury. The Frenchman has endured a difficult start to life at Stamford Bridge since his £52 million move from RB Leipzig last summer. After impressing at the start of pre-season, he injured his knee in their final friendly against Borussia Dortmund, which forced him to undergo surgery. Nkunku returned to action in December but made just 3 appearances before sustaining a hip problem that kept him out for the start of 2024. He scored as a second-half substitute at Liverpool in late January and had featured in each of the last 4 games before coming off the bench in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. However, the 26-year-old will now miss up to another month after suffering a fresh issue, though Pochettino is unaware of how Nkunku picked up the injury. Speaking ahead of Chelsea's FA Cup tie against Leeds, the Argentine said, "We learned yesterday Nkunku got injured, but we don't know when he got injured. We need to see and evaluate every day, but he's out for 3 or 4 weeks." Chelsea's Nicolas Jackson is still incredibly raw and may not be ready to lead the line for them yet, according to TalkSport pundit Scott Minto. The 22-year-old is currently occupying the role as the first-choice striker at Stamford Bridge. He's scored 9 goals in 28 games so far during his debut season as a Blues player, but the general criticism around him is for his inconsistent finishing. Scott Minto has now fired criticism at Jackson following Sunday's loss in the Carabao Cup final. "It's all about goalscorers. It's all about putting the ball in the back of the net." Nicolas Jackson felt he worked hard against Liverpool, but he's probably about 2 years behind being a Chelsea striker, Minto told TalkSport. Now Shakhtar Donetsk CEO Sergei Palkin has sensationally claimed that Chelsea have the most talented and unique player in the world in Mykhailo Mudryk. Despite flashes of brilliance, the 23-year-old has badly struggled to live up to expectations after completing a £62 million transfer to Stamford Bridge, a record fee for both Shakhtar and the Ukrainian Premier League. In an underwhelming first 6 months in English football, Mudryk failed to score a single goal for the Blues in any competition, and the winger has hardly set the world alight this term, netting just 3 times in the Premier League. It's some fall from grace for the Ukraine international, who racked up 12 goals and 17 assists in 44 games for Shakhtar, numbers which made him one of the most sought-after young players in world football. The speedster's last start for Chelsea came over a month ago in the side's 6-1 win over Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup, when he made no goal contributions and was substituted at half-time by Mauricio Pochettino. However, Falcon, who knows Mudryk well from their time together at Shakhtar, is hopeful his fellow countryman will come good as long as Chelsea invest and give him a chance of turning his fortunes around. I can tell you that, for me, Mudryk is the most talented and unique player in the world, Falcon told Bein Sports. I believe that in order to get the maximum from Mudryk, as they anticipate, you need to invest in him. And these investments are not money. The investment is time with the coaching staff to communicate with him and to work closely with him. According to Falcon, Mudryk could be 4 or 5 times the player if Chelsea's coaching staff dedicate serious time to helping the Ukrainian fulfill his undoubted potential. He is a young boy and he changed from the Ukrainian Championship for the English Premier League, he added. It's a completely different world, with completely different levels, with football that's completely different. I believe that if the coaching staff dedicates some time to him, he will return 3, 4 or 5 times more. Now with both Erik ten Hag and Mauricio Pochettino underperforming at Manchester United and Chelsea respectively, the thought of the two clubs changing managers at the end of the season is becoming a recurring subject of discussion in the press. Many names have been linked with the Premier League sides, with Zinedine Zidane reportedly the dream at Old Trafford, but there is a new name in Italy, that of Simone Inzaghi. This comes courtesy of Tuttosport, who claim that Manchester United and Chelsea are looking at the Inter Milan manager after his recent successes in charge of the Serie A side. It's revealed the two English clubs have gone out of their way to obtain information about the Italian manager, seemingly trying to work out what it would take to lure him away from his current role. To some transfer rumors, Chelsea's chase for Napoli star Victor Osimhen is a story that never goes away, with the Italian media always making sure to say the Blues continue with their pursuit. Though many clubs are also linked to the striker, it seems he already has his destination set. That's according to his international teammate William Troost-Ekong, the PAOK defender, who's Osimhen's teammate in the Nigeria national team, was interviewed by Sky Italia, and had something interesting about the Chelsea target's future when asked where the striker would be heading in the summer. He laughed and said, "I really can't tell you anything, but I know." Just this week, we covered journalist Rudy Galati claiming that Chelsea are keeping their pressure for Osimhen, as they stay in constant contact with his entourage. Their idea is reportedly to reach an agreement with the striker's staff, and then try the deal with Napoli, who continue to make big requests for his sale. Now in case Troost-Ekong is right, then Osimhen already gave his word to a club and now waits for the Serie A side to sort the last details. And finally, Chelsea winger Mykhailo Mudryk could be set to make a shocking transfer away from Chelsea after just one full season at Stamford Bridge. Mudryk has fallen out of favour with Chelsea boss Mauricio Pochettino, who has often opted to play players like Nicolas Jackson out of position as an alternative to Mudryk. Despite a recent lack of game time, Pochettino has always been very complimentary of the Ukrainian. Speaking in December he said, "He's a fantastic guy and he's such a nice person, he's very authentic and genuine. For sure with time he's going to be a very important player. He's already an important player but he's going to improve a lot because the potential is massive," Pochettino continued. The situation may now have changed however, as according to a recent report from Fitchages, Chelsea is extremely disappointed with the near £100 million star, and are exploring options for the upcoming season. Given Mudryk's long-term contract, a loan move appears to be the most probable outcome at the moment, although a permanent sale has not been ruled out. Intriguingly, according to the report, Arsenal are one of the leading contenders alongside Juventus for Mudryk's services. Catch us again another time. Turn on the notification so you don't miss it. Have a nice day.